Hey, this is Jason from Rex Arms. This is going to be the first part in a multi-part series about how to build an AR. So in front of you, you have a AR forged lower. This is very indicative of a forged lower. This is, or some people call it a mil-spec lower. This is also a mil-spec upper, and this is what you will very commonly see, or maybe even build your ARs out of. Now, some very basic parts you're going to need will be a rail. This one is specifically from Lancer Systems. I actually just got this one not too long ago, and I will let you know how it goes. I'm rather curious on that one. You're going to need a barrel. This one specifically has a low-pro gas block already mounted to it. Well, I mean, I mounted to it. It's not going to come mounted. Your standard low-pro gas block is going to look a little something like this. I'm not sure if you can see through that bag or not. But it's going to look a little something like that. Well, you know, that installed. So you've got that. You have a BCG. It's a bolt carrier group. You have a... Now this is my favorite charging handle. I love this charging handle. I've put these on all my rifles now. This one is specifically from Mega Arms. Really like it. There's not a whole lot of... A lot of them say they're ambidextrous. They're not really ambidextrous. This is ambidextrous. There's no buttons to push. There's no, you know, oh, did I get my whole finger on one of them or the other? You know, there's only a few that you actually use ambidextrously. This one doesn't have any buttons to activate. There's nothing to break. There's just one little claw right here to snap onto your upper receiver. Like that. That's it. That's why I really like them. They're fast, they're simple, it's nice, there's nothing to break. So, there's that. Now, some interesting little Barbie attachments. One of the reasons that people love ARs so much is the endless customization. Now, there are some things you have to watch out for. For instance, the ATF could rule that your short-barreled rifle can't have a stock because pistols don't have stocks. And if you have too short of a barrel, it's a pistol. So read up on your local local laws, because there's some states, some communist places like California that look very lowly on ARs. Strangely enough. Now this is a mil-spec charging handle. This is more normally what you'd find. You have a button here that you got to push to actually release the charging handle. It's a bit of a bummer, but that's what they normally are. So, another thing you're going to have, if you're going to do a collapsible stock, what you need is a buffer tube. Now you have a buffer tube, this is your buffer tube plate, and what's called a castle nut, or, well, there's other things, but these are the basic three things. That, you're going to need an upper kit. So, I mean, everybody has their own taste. There's engraved upper plates, or ejection port covers, where they've got, you know, all sorts of weird things on there, Biohazard, or Punisher, or Eat This, it's weird things. But, you know, it's completely up to your taste. There's engraved ones, there's interesting ones. There's ones that I find really handy, where it'll say, for instance, if I had, now, I do have a significant amount of uppers, and if, for instance, this one is chambered in 300 blackout. Now, by looking at it, it looks exactly the same as a standard AR-15 upper, because it is exactly a standard AR-15 upper. There is absolutely no difference between this and a 5.56, except your barrel. And how are you going to know what this barrel is chambered in? Well, maybe with a little dust cover, the ejection port cover that says 300 blackout. So, there's reasons for these things. I put this together as an example for you to see what one would look like. Now this, like I said, this is the first part in a multi-part series, and your second part will be coming up soon. Now this is something that you can put on there, a lot like the Lancer Adaptive Magwell. This is something that could potentially improve your life. This is also something that could potentially improve your life. Now, I like putting these, specifically the anti-rotational pins, on my rifles, because that way your pins won't walk out on you in the middle of the competition. A couple of times I've seen while competing people unfortunately have an issue with their pins coming out and the trigger comes undone out of the receiver. It's so frustrating. So, they'll be in the middle of a stage and stuff. It's terrible. But anyway, going on. So to finish off the buttstock, or to finish off the buffer tube, what your buffer tube, this part, your buffer tube, needs inside of it is a buffer spring, and a buffer. This is a standard rifle buffer, standard buffer spring. That will go inside of here, but more on that later. So I'm just going to keep that in the meantime. So now to finish off your barrel, which attaches to your gas block, is a gas tube. This one's from WMD Guns. It's one of the Nitromet gas tubes. I like it because it's not shiny inside of your upper. See, as you can see, I use them in my uppers, and it's not shiny. It's not going to show like, oh, look at me. It doesn't take away from the aesthetic of the gun. So I like it. Nitromet gas tube. Now, stock. Lovely, lovely stock. Love carbine stock, especially Magpul. I always love their products. So this is the standard stock. More on how to exactly install this later. Anyway, you'll pull this pin down, shove this in there. It's great. Ta-da! Look at that. It goes up and down. And like I said, check your local laws before you build an AR, because unfortunately, some of these products may or may not be legal in your state. So check all your local laws before you do anything. Last part, and arguably the most important, is your lower parts kit. This in particular is a military style trigger. No, that doesn't make it fully automatic. Don't listen to people, especially the ones on the news. They really don't check anything. So anyway, military style hammer. This specifically does not have the little claw at the end that it actually would need to engage an auto sear. So again, don't worry about it. So engage like that. Click, boom, yay! It's all wonderful. And I specifically like the kits from CMMG. They come in all these little color-coded bags. It's really nice. Like, oh, yellow. What's in yellow? Oh, that would be the bolt catch plunger, and all those other parts. Oh, I wonder what's in the red bag. It's right there. Oh, that's incredible. I don't know. I like it. I find it really nice and handy. So some other things that you're going to need. Tools. All these are very important. An accurate pair of mag block. This is very important. This will clamp your upper, and you'll be able to stick that in a vise. Whoop, 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 whoop. So when you assemble everything, you'll be able to clamp on that instead of clamping on your receiver, and it'll keep your finish nice. That's a very important thing. Another very important thing is that. And it goes inside, right there, to keep you from crushing your upper. Again, very important. It protects your investment. Now, another thing you want is a set of roll pin punches. Now, these are not roll pin punch starters. These are the ones that finish off, and you can see that little domed piece right there. That little domed piece will go inside the roll pin, and it's great. Keeps them from deforming on you. Now, these are roll pin starter punches. These are also, again, very, very important. Just have all these sizes. What you do is when you go to press the pins in, you stick the pin in there, start to hammer it in a little bit. Then once it gets down to a point where you can't do that anymore, you take one of these, stick that down, tap, 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 all the way in. Yay! And you won't have a messed up, marred up gun. That's great. So these are the basic things you're going to need. One of the ways that our guns come is, instead of in the 100% configuration, which is like this, is where you have the selector hole and trigger pin and your fire pocket is all milled out. Now, this is 100%, this is an FFL transfer lower. There's no work to do, it's ready to go, right from the FFL. Now, this is another variation on the exact same thing. See, as you can notice the difference, there's no selector, there's no trigger pins, and the fire pocket is still there. So, on an 80% receiver, which is one of the ways our guns come, if you or so choose, again, the fire pocket. So fire pocket, trigger pin or trigger hole, selector, trigger pin holes, and trigger hole, as you can tell right there. All need to get milled out. So, difference, difference, difference. And that is what makes the difference between an 80% lower and a 100% needed to transfer by FFL lower. So, our second part in our series will be involving how to mill one of these into, well, quote-unquote mill. We're actually going to show you how to do it with basic hand tools like a router. But this is what we're going to be showing you in our next part of our series, how to mill it out. So, I really hope you enjoyed the video, and if I missed anything, oh, actually, you know what? Let me show you something else. So, remember how I told you about a buffer and buffer spring? Well, there's another way to go, something that I've started just playing with, which is called the JP Silent Capture System. This is a nice way to go. It's quiet. Instead of hearing... Oh, this is going to sound terrible. Hopefully you can appreciate this. Hear that sound? Isn't that awful? Anyways, if you don't like that sound, you can go with one of these. It's not exactly silent, but it's a lot quieter. It's a spring captured around a rod, and it recoils nice, and there's a spring pack that you can purchase to adjust it. For instance, if you were using a lighter bolt and it needed a stiffer spring, or whatever, what have you, this is tunable for the stuff you're using. But anyway, like I said, if there's anything that I haven't covered, please do let us know in the comment section, and thank you for watching. Hey, take care.